welcome to the 9th episode of Plebcast. 9?
9.
Oh God, 9. We're always in double figures.
How's it kept up that long?
I don't know. Yeah. But we're joined by me, Jimmy, again. Louis, the sound guy, give us a wave.
Hello.
There we go. Returning is Billy.
Hello.
And then we've got two new faces, or voices. We've got Jack.
Hello.
Who are you, Jack? Describe yourself.
So, I'm a second year classical studies student, and that's pretty much it, really.
That is it. That is literally it.
Yeah.
Member of the classics football team.
Yeah. Classics football team, classics committee as well.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. All the socials we've been on.
Oh yeah. All the silly themed socials.
Yeah. Yeah. And the last guest is Matt. Say hello, Matt.
Hello.
Tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm a second year classics student as well. Play for the football team, so that's my only contribution to Newcastle University, the bottom division of intramural football, where I occasionally do things on the pitch.
Give away penalties.
Give away penalties. First classics yellow card.
Really?
Went to me. Yeah. It was my first game in first year.
Yeah.
Got the first card we've ever seen.
Nice. Right. Well, I want to address something first because I shared the podcast on Facebook, as some of you already know, and on Classics International, a page. I don't know what it's run, but I don't know who runs it. Edith Hall is quite big on Classics International, but I shared it, and then we had someone. I mean, I don't know their name. I won't say their name, but I can't say their name because it's all in Greek.
Oh yeah. I could give it a go.
We're not going to get him dossed.
We could get him dossed, so I'm not gonna. We won't attempt it.
When I first heard that this had happened, I was like, oh, we've done for slagging off someone.
Yeah.
Like slagging off a lecturer or something.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was going to be us being slagged off.
We're slagged off because it's called Plebcast, and they were saying how. I mean, Billy, can you sum up what they were saying?
Yeah, it's difficult to interpret it because it didn't really make any sense at all. But I think what they were trying to get at is by having pleb in the name of our podcast, we were reminding people of the sensitive treatment of the Helots by the Spartans.
Yeah.
Which is, I must say, it's poignant today. I must say, a lot of people are stressed about it. So it's fair enough.
So we'll probably give a trigger warning at the start of most podcasts.
Yeah.
Just in case. You know.
Yeah. Well, it was a ridiculous thing that they related our podcast name to, and they're saying how people. The reason why we're called Plebcast is because me and Sam, when we were talking about the podcast, was like, what could we call it? And I don't remember who did it, but they were like, Plebcast. And we were like, and I both like, brilliant, that's what it's called. Because it was like, it's a word, it's a play on words, isn't it?
Yeah.
A little joke.
Yeah,
A little classics joke.
Yeah, it's a self-depreciating joke as well, and he can't appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I must say that thanks for the interaction, because no press is bad press. And
Exactly, yeah.
Good to have some people getting involved.
Exactly.
Yeah. He definitely listens as well. He sits there listening.
Yeah. But I do see his point of pleb could be seen as a derogatory word. Like, it could be seen as a bad word. But I've got the definition of pleb here. And it says, an ordinary person, especially one from the lower classes. And I'd think that all of us here are ordinary people.
Yeah.
None of us have a degree yet in classics. None of us are like well-known lecturers. We're all normal people talking about quite a niche subject.
Yeah. And we're not exactly representing the lower class. We're not trying to represent the lower classes, are we?
No.
What we've done is named our podcast something that relates to classics and it works.
Exactly.
Don't read into it.
Exactly.
I also think it plays on the idea that we're trying to break down the idea that classics is an elitist subject.
Exactly, yeah.
You just got to take in the context of it, isn't it? If we were actually going out and going, ha, you're a pleb, then people can have a grumble about it, but
this grumble is not accepted.
No.
Not a good grumble.
In the end, I think he deleted his comment because it's now gone.
Embarrassed.
Yeah, he was.
We'll see if we respond to this week's.
Yeah. I doubt he fucking even listens. I don't. It was like a day after I posted.
He read the name and thought, I'm going to take issue.
Yeah,
it's like, going to listen to you, but I don't like it.
Fuck
this.
this.
To every episode.
Yeah.
He's got essays and stuff ready to argue with us.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we cleared that out of the way. Yeah. Any more criticism, we'll just be like, we'll listen to episode 9.
Yeah.
Well, that's
say
a
thank you next.
Thank you next. Yeah. Just brush off the next bit of criticism. Right. Well, this week's topic is on ancient writers. So mainly historians, but we can add in a few, playwrights, philosophers.
The interesting ones.
The interesting ones, yeah. The non-boring ones. And I found a list of 10 ancient writers you should know. And I'll go through the first 7, and then see if you can guess the top, the main 3 that this list thinks you should.
Does it include philosophers?
It includes everyone.
Right.
Everyone. So
I'm gonna not partake because I've already looked at your list.
Have you already
I
looked?
was really interested in what was coming up, and I forgot that the answers were on there.
Yeah.
But I must say.
Are you shocked?
I was shocked.
Are you shocked?
I was
Well,
shocked.
let's hope the rest of the guests and the listeners are
Yes.
shocked.
Sorry.
So number 10 is Homer. We all know who Homer is. He wrote the Iliad, the Odyssey. Well, he might not. He didn't write
Very
it.
low ranking.
Yeah, it's
Very
low down
low.
on the list.
It's-
with the
Get ready. Get ready.
Considering it contributes a lot to what we learn,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
like as classicists.
He's probably one of the main people we've talked about
Yeah.
throughout all topics.
Maybe they wanted people on the list that actually existed.
And actually wrote stuff down.
Yeah.
Burn.
Oh.
Sorry, Homer.
But yeah, we all know who Homer. We don't need to go into who Homer is, really, do we? No. Number 9 is Sophocles. Do we all know who Sophocles is?
I do not.
Yeah.
Tell me about Sophocles.
Sophocles was a tragedy writer in the 5th century. He's one of Euripides and the other one, Aeschylus. That's the one.
Yes,
He
man.
was around during
That's
then.
the best one.
I think
Big time.
his most known play, Sophocles, is Antigone. What do you say?
I think so. Miserable.
Yeah. Miserable.
Play,
Yeah.
has to be said.
It's
Yeah.
a good play though. Like,
Yeah,
I
I-
really enjoyed it. No, I'm just saying. Sorry, I was caught in thought and I was just staring you down. But it is a good play, I think.
Yeah.
One of the best out there.
Yeah. So number 8 is Herodotus, probably my favourite.
Yeah.
So
On the
low down
list.
again though.
Low down again.
Father
Yeah.
of history.
No, I think he's
Father-
adequately rated. I think
Yeah.
he's
Oh,
good.
controversial.
I like him. He's
Yeah.
he's funny. It's just stories he hears and believes, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Stuff you
It's
believe
just-
as a kid.
It's basically pub talk, innit?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
some Egyptian down the pub told him.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
right,
So
I'll
it's like,
have
that is a fact.
Do you hear about those dog-headed men?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he the one that wrote about the giant ants?
The giant ants.
Yeah, dig for gold.
Oh, Benji told me
I
something.
actually love that, to be fair, the giant ants did for gold.
Next time Benji's on, I'll get him to say what he told me, because he said that they found something to do with Herodotus' giant ants, which makes it more plausible why he wrote it.
Oh.
That there were giant ants
Seriously?
that dug for
Yeah.
There might be
Oh,
giant
yeah.
ants.
No, they're not giant ants, but there's something that is now extinct, which probably or maybe have been around that they found. Well, I don't know. I'll get Benji to
Yeah,
say it.
yeah,
What I just said could be horseshit.
Yeah.
If I read this and there are actually ants that dug for gold in India, I will believe everything that Herodotus says
Yeah.
as absolute gospel truth.
Yeah.
I don't care.
This would have to completely change his
Oh
mind.
yeah, history, literature, and truth. History, literature, and lies. Isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
How big are we talking, these ants? Are we talking
I
I
don't
don't-
think they were dog-sized, weren't they?
Yeah.
Because when you said it, I thought the spiders in Harry Potter, Chamber of Secrets. Is it?
Oh god.
Oh yeah.
Do you know
The
all
biggest one.
No, all the ones that tap the car.
Oh, it's all.
Oh,
I was thinking that.
no, I was thinking that's a bit big. That
Yeah.
was-
Labrador, I reckon.
oh yeah.
Labrador.
I don't know.
Yeah, Labrador ants.
Labrador ants. Right. Well, the next one is Euripides. We've all heard of. Who's
Yeah.
not heard of Euripides?
I haven't heard of Euripides.
I forgot to write what he'd written on my list, on my notes, because I'm an idiot. What did he write?
The comedian.
No.
it's
No.
tragedy. Is it
Oh, wait,
Trojan
no.
Women? Hecuba?
Oh, Medea.
And Medea, yeah.
Medea. Oh no, we talked about him in the
Yeah.
Philippa one, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
A lot.
I
So.
actually did a Philippa module on that.
Glad
This
it's-
term.
Oh, yeah.
He is a listener, now, be careful.
Yeah. Yeah, she is. Right, yeah, well, that was number 7. Number 6 is Hippocrates or Hippocrates. How do you say that?
Hippocrates.
Yeah,
Hippocrates.
okay.
Hippocrates.
Hippocrates.
Yeah.
Hippocrates. Crates that hippos are in.
Mm.
He was around in like the 5th and 4th century. He's called the father of medicine.
Yeah.
And the Hippocratic Oath, people still
Yeah.
read today
In-
about.
Or
In
do
fairness-
they, Jack? Or do
Oh
they?
yeah, we'll do that.
We had
Or
a-
what Hippocratic oath?
Is it
Or
the
as
law? Is it
Dr.
not?
Rutten would say.
Oh, do tell.
Well, for our research in the classics module, for the first couple of weeks we had to learn from Rutten himself about the Hippocratic Oath
Yeah.
and how it gets lost in translation over time. So he gave us
Oh,
a
yeah.
copy of the Malta Medical Association's version of the Hippocratic Oath, and then proceeded to shit on it for about an hour. And that's why he thinks it's basically like an affront to classics that they're taking this oath, which isn't the original. And
what is the Hippocratic Oath like? Can you talk me through it? Or those that
well,
are listening do not know.
It's basically like a medical code of ethics where doctors agree that they won't do certain things.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
So depending on how you read it, obviously it can prevent things like abortion or poisoning people, which apparently is frowned upon in the medical world.
That's
surprising, I wonder why.
Yeah, you're also not allowed to shag your patients because not particularly sure why. It's just not allowed.
Okay.
But yeah, it's apparently a very fringe view that they had in the ancient world that not everyone subscribed to.
But yeah, there's a massive issue with like the manuscripts of it, because there's just so many types, and whoever was like, oh yeah, we agree with that. So manuscripts they all basically disagree, and there's like a Christian manuscript which of course like leaves out the abortion bit and stuff like that. And like, you know, when you have like an Oxford classical text with like the original, there's always stuff talking about the manuscripts at the bottom, and there's usually a bit, there's not loads, but for this small text there's just like half of it is all like critical apparatus saying like, well, this is wrong, the Arabic one says this, the Christian one says this, but then this papyrus fragment says this, and it's, I don't know how anyone actually recreates it as an actual text, because everyone just picked and chose what they wanted.
Wow. Right. Well, that was Hippocrates. Hippocrates.
But still, I wouldn't expect him to be so high up on the list.
Yeah, well...
Because you sort of forget about him, because it's not really something you sit down and have a flick through, but of course it's quite important.
Yeah.
Also, boys, just did a quick Google. One of the plays by Euripides, Ion, I read like 2 weeks ago. I've had several lectures.
And you forgot
Ion itself,
Right, well, welcome to Plebcast.
It's
going to go well.
The Trojan women, Hippolytus, Electra, and Bacchae.
We should know more about him, shouldn't we?
I feel like I certainly
You certainly should. Last time I properly had Euripides was first year, and I'm a third year now. So I just completely blocked it from my mind. That was a Philippa one as well. Anyway, number 5, Aristophanes. Of course, everyone loves Aristophanes. Personal favourite.
I haven't actually read any of his
works. You should. You're missing out. It's incredible. Lysistrata, I've mentioned on the podcast many times.
Yeah, and the Thesmophorius, who's that? Is that him as well?
Which one's that one?
That's the one where the women go and plan to get back at Euripides because he's like slagging him off in his plays.
I've definitely heard of that one.
I just said it because I had to say it.
Yeah. There's like frogs, wasps, knights, clouds. Clouds is a good one. That's about Socrates. And he was like 5th century. He was critical of everybody. He called Socrates a sophist, which Socrates apparently hated. Just read Lysistrata. He is not like read Aristophanes. He is, I'd say, one of the most funniest people to have ever lived. Number 4 is Plato. So
should be up there, but if anyone's ever actually tried to read Plato, it's not a fun read. Yeah,
we talked about him last week, didn't we? Oh, well, 2 weeks ago.
But the amount of people that go like, once they've never read Plato and they go, and Plato once said, because they know like the things that he's come out with. Like, but no one would sit down and read him, like his stuff. Yeah. Everyone just knows the quotes, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Well. And Plato was a student of Socrates as well. That's what we should say. Right. Can you guess the top 3?
So we've had no Roman authors so far. And if the top 3 are Roman, I'm going to be very smug.
I need a Roman.
Wait, I can't remember. No, there's no Roman so far.
Yeah. No.
So I'm thinking Ovid's going to be up there for the Metamorphoses. I think the impact on Shakespeare and all that. I think up there. Virgil.
Oh, I think Get Out.
Think about everyone else who's up there.
The Aeneid.
That's a good shout.
Jack.
We're going to spend an hour talking about this. So I'm thinking. The thing is, I'm only thinking Romans now, but there's got to be. Aristotle's got to be up there, isn't he? Let's face it.
Well,
he did say he was surprised by the top 3.
I am surprised. I'm surprised by the top 3.
When he said one of them you might not have heard of, was that further down the list or was that in the top 3?
That's in the top 3.
There's one we
Do you think they'll have Galen?
So what's your order, Jack? 3 to 1.
Oh, that's so hard. I'm not sorted yet. I think the surprise, thinking that there's going to be a surprise, has now thrown me. And now I'm trying to think of someone.
It's just the most obscure.
Oh yeah, you're thinking, all of a sudden, Silas Italicus comes out.
I mean, Cicero might have to be up there.
Oh yeah, good shout.
Perhaps,
but
perhaps.
It's not really a surprise, is it?
You're going about it in the wrong way. Think stuff that everyone, like not outside classics people, should know.
Yeah.
You know, because it's got to apply to everyone.
Oh yeah.
That I've written a list of the stuff
the Bible.
Yeah. What do you mean, the 4 Gospels?
They ancient. Early Christians.
I don't know. I don't think you'd consider them in sort of the classical canon, would you?
Well, I feel like personally.
I don't know.
Whoever
Whoever
probably 15 minutes.
We'll get in there, right?
So,
Jack, top 3.
So I'm going to go Ovid 3rd.
Okay.
I want to put Virgil in there for my own self, but I don't think he's going to be in there.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go Cicero, Aristotle.
Okay. Are they locked in? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm locking them in.
I'm locking them in.
Billy. Yeah. Let's see if you're right.
I have no idea.
You're here because you do history, so you're like.
I think Billy's got the best shot here. I must
Billy
say.
has got the best shot
because he's not thinking about it in the classical way like these two will.
Yeah, I think, but you know, like you know, I'd say you know a broader range because you know people after antiquity, so you know.
That's a clue, isn't it?
I'm not saying they are from after antiquity, but there's those people could have referenced other people.
Problem is basically after Jesus was born, I don't really care about this.
No, I don't know.
Well, I'm still thinking about Louis' little hint that people would know if they don't do classics.
Yeah.
Which has thrown me. So I'm going to go for Galen because I said him.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I'm locked in there.
Yeah. Okay. You're allowed to go with someone like you don't have to say new people. Like if you think Jack's right with 1 or 2, then
I'll go with Aristotle. And have we had Xenophon?
no, we haven't.
Oh,
Go with
that would be an
Xenophon.
indie choice.
Yeah. Oh. Indie choice.
The Cut Thursdays.
Right, Matt. Who are you gonna lock in?
Polybius.
Oh.
3rd. Cicero.
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius.
Oh,
Not
that's
Aristotle,
a
Matt.
proper.
Not Aristotle.
That is a massive shout.
Right.
Oh, I'm gutted I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. I'm actually jealous.
Shall I tell him?
Shall
I tell him?
I can't wait
Maybe
for-
so far up.
I think I might film Jack's reaction to this. So just get it on the Classic Society.
Yeah,
Instagram
you film
page.
it. You film it. Okay, number 3. Dun 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 dun. Aristotle.
Yeah, I'm glad about that.
Yeah. So Aristotle, there's a lot about Aristotle. The first biologist considered, first one to properly guess what the circumference of the Earth is, among other stuff. He was a.
I feel like that's the one. If you said someone name me an ancient writer who didn't know anything about classics, they'd go Aristotle.
They would go Aristotle.
Because
Yeah.
he tutored Alexander the Great, didn't
He did tutor
Yeah, he
Aristotle,
did.
and he was a.
Yeah, tutored.
Not
Yeah,
Stone.
yeah. Genuinely, that's quite a big thing to get over when you start studying classics.
What, the fact
When,
that
when, you,
Alexander the Great-
when all of a sudden, you know, everything you learn starts to come together, and you realise, you know, Aristotle and Alexander the Great, and you think, well, maybe, yeah, you just don't know what's true anymore.
They had a thing.
Yeah, they did have a thing, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
they said.
Their eyes met over their ancient Greek.
Right. Well, that's Aristotle. Number 2. Had you heard of him, Louis?
Yeah, I had. Yeah.
Had you actually?
Genuinely, I'm gonna make
Because
it up.
I hadn't heard him. Do you know how to pronounce it? Because I'm gonna have a try. Euclid. Number 2.
like
I've
Euclidean
heard it.
geometry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
The father of geometry,
That's what I was getting at.
and he wrote the Elements. The Elements, which is still used today in
Yeah.
maths.
Oh, if it's Archimedes, I'm going to be annoyed.
Oh.
Oh! Number 1 is Archimedes.
Why?
Yeah.
That's a bit.
So I've got, because he's number 1, I've got a lot of stuff that he's done. Well, not a lot of stuff. I've got 3 things he's done. He calculated pi very precisely. That's what this thing
Year
came up.
7 maths done.
Yeah, there you go. If you'd done year 7 maths, you'd have heard of Archimedes.
How did he do it? Do you know?
Tell us, Billy.
I don't, but I'll Google it.
Google it and tell me in a bit. And then he created the Archimedes screw, a mechanism for moving water that is still used today.
Yeah, it's like, it's basically a screw and you put it in water, and when you screw it, the water moves up
It
the
drags
screw.
it uphill, doesn't it?
Oh my god.
So they could pump water.
I've never seen that.
Have you not?
I've never seen that. That sounds.
Archimedes is Eureka, isn't he, as well?
He is
He's a
Eureka.
bath, yeah.
That what I just said. Oh no, hang on, no, sorry, no. Correct yourself. He defined the volume of irregular objects by submerging them in water. He discovered how to do that, and then that's why he ran out naked, shouting Eureka.
Because it was the crown, wasn't it? He had to find the weight of the crown.
Yeah.
And then he just realised, I'll stick it in the bath.
He was the guy who allegedly invented that ship-burning laser.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
I think that's just a mirror.
Well, apparently there's loads of mirrors focused in, and if you point at a ship long enough, it's set on fire.
Yeah.
But basically everyone since that story's come out has gone, oh, that didn't happen.
If you point at it long enough, I mean, you've got to point at it for a while. After a while, they'll be like, what? Why is it smoking?
You would have thought they'd just start sailing away.
Yeah.
I refuse to think that's bullshit.
No, it's Vikings and horned helmets. It's just a conspiracy. I believe that it happened. My dad told me it happened, so it happened.
Yeah, it did
I'm just
happen.
going to believe it for life.
Exactly. Someone in a bar told me it, and I wrote it down in my history. So there we go.
Apparently, he also invented, in the siege of Syracuse, a big crane that could hook onto ships and lift them up.
Do you hear about when he died, the army invading had orders to not kill him because he's a big name.
Yeah.
Apparently, a soldier burst into where he was doing maths somewhere, and he looked up at this soldier with a sword and was just like, "Please don't interrupt my circles." looked back down. The soldiers ran him through.
I'm imagining him in a loincloth, all dusty. He's got a piece of chalk. He's scribbling them out. Soldier on him, who's this nutcase?
Right. Well. Interesting list, wasn't it?
It was.
It was the most obscure list that I've seen because I couldn't believe Homer was at number 10.
Yeah.
And not
A few
down.
surprises on there.
It seems to be sort of the influence they've had, not sort of literary that we're sort of thinking. It's
It's when it says 10 ancient writers you should know. I don't think it suggests that you should get to know. It's you should have heard of these people by now in your life.
And also, it's a lot of those you don't really think of as ancient writers.
No.
Like Archimedes. If someone said, "What's Archimedes?" you wouldn't say a writer. You'd be like, "Oh, I don't know, a scientist."
Yeah. Or with the Hippocrates, you'd say the Hippocrates. Oh, it's just the Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't think.
He did write a lot of
he
medical.
wrote a bit more.
Yeah. Well, that brings us on to the list of questions that I've got for today. Who does everyone enjoy reading from ancient history?
Well, I'm a big Livy fan, has to be said.
Yeah.
I quite like the idea of the entire history of everything ever.
Yeah.
That he decided to do from start of Rome till when he was born. I also like the fact he's basically well, this might not actually be true. It might be true. It's probably not true, but I'm going to record it.
Yeah.
I like the story.
Yeah.
I respect that. One of the themes I like to think with classics is if you can't prove it wasn't true, if you want to believe it, then just believe it.
Yeah, and then we'll believe it as well. Yeah. Yeah. So what did Livy write?
It was the early history of Rome. Wasn't it? So I think quite a lot of the books are lost, sadly.
Well,
Most people tend to read are 1 to 5. So I think that's.
It's a war with Carthage, isn't it? Start with Carthage.
Carthage is 22. That. They've only got 25% of Livy. It was.
It's unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah, it was 1142 books it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
From the foundation of the city, and they've only got
1 to 10 complete, aren't they?
Oh, something like that.
And what are they about then? The build up to Carthage.
1 through 5 is from I think Romulus, Remus.
Oh really?
Through the kingship.
Yeah.
Down to the Republic. I think book 5 ends with the first sack of Rome by the Gauls.
Sack of Rome and their expulsion by Camillus.
I remember that from the Vissen
I
module.
keep mixing them up because we did that big revision session where we did all of them.
Yeah.
The amount of crossover between them that's in my head, I need to sit down and read them properly.
I always get Livy and Polybius mixed up.
Yeah, I think.
Oh yeah, they cover the same stuff.
Just confusing with Polybius, I think.
Yeah. No, yeah. So why do you enjoy Livy?
Well, it's just like as I've said, he likes stories that he doesn't really.
Yeah.
He doesn't. It's not like Herodotus or Thucydides who claim that everything they're doing is like in search of the truth. Like Livy himself basically says he's recalling things to teach lessons basically to people. Like these are good Roman people from history who've done this deed. Like try and emulate their behaviour. I just like that recording history in like basically a series of anecdotes. Yeah. And also the way it's written is pretty nice. Like it does just take you through things chronologically. Yeah. But there are times it will just say, oh, and then the next year these were the consuls and nothing happened. Yeah. And then the next year it was like, oh, there was a bountiful grain harvest this year, but aside from that, nothing happened again. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's quite enjoyable to read. I think it's quite accessible as well.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed reading Livy when we did it because he was one of the ones where I read the most because apart from like Herodotus, when we did history, we did our module on ancient writers last semester. We had to read a load of authors, and it was Herodotus and Livy. I think I read the most because I've read Herodotus. I've read him for like 5 years now. Yeah. So well, thank you, man. Jack.
So my favourite writer has definitely got to be Virgil. I love the Aeneid.
Matt immediately sighs.
Yeah, I'm not having it. I've had a lot of arguments in my life sticking up for Virgil. I've spent a lot of time defending him from people. But yeah, we'll get into that later. I really like the Aeneid. I just think it's fantastic. But then also I like Livy as well. I never looked at any Livy before last semester.
Really?
I did it in both my Latin modules and History, Literature and Truth. And I really liked it. I like how he just makes things up. He looks at the old historians and then, like, we did this one bit for my Latin assignment. It was about Titus Manlius fighting a Gaul. And literally, if you look at, we did the Quadrigarius account earlier in the year, and the amount that's just made up. Yeah. He just straight up just goes like, yeah. He just makes up all the speech of the Gaul, all this. It's great. It's just like the amount of things he just adds in just to make it a better story is great. I'm doing Catullus at the minute, actually. They are brilliant. They're just so funny.
He's a poet, isn't he?
He's like the first ever like incel. He's like, lesbian doesn't want me. Oh great, you're a slut then. He just can't handle his own rejection.
What's it? He was a Roman poet. What was his most famous poem?
Oh, so
there's one poem that everyone goes, oh, you read Catullus, blah blah blah. Or whatever. I keep forgetting. We did it
first year.
So there's a lot.
I did it first.
There's a lot which are quoted.
There's one of them he's talking about. I think it's.
There's the Sparrow poems. They're 2 and 3 are very famous.
There's the one about the girl who stands on the crossroads at Rome, like basically wanking.
That's what I was doing.
I
think that's pretty early as well.
They're stripping back the bark, isn't it?
It's like peeling the sun.
That's it.
30.
I can't remember.
32, 36 maybe.
Number 11's a good one as well, where he goes. He tells his mates to go all over the world to bring this message to Lesbia, and it's literally just, when the message gets there, it's just, I hate you. And then there's some he writes about men as well.
Really?
Yeah, he writes some homoerotic ones as well.
Does he actually?
Not many.
He's got some quite comical ones there, doesn't he?
Oh yeah.
They talk about dinner parties.
And 13. That's really funny. Yeah. He says to Fabulous, you'll have a great dinner party when you come to mine if you bring the food, girls, wine, and all that. If you bring it all, you'll have a good one.
Doesn't he have a poem where he accuses, like, he's angry at someone and accuses of being like a napkin thief or something?
Oh, I think so.
It's like an insult.
They're all great. I love Catullus. Yeah.
Yeah. And I read Catullus in first year, but I was like, 2.5 years ago. I've not read him since. No, yeah, a poet. Yeah. Billy, who do you enjoy reading from history and ancient history?
I don't want to seem too basic, but I prefer reading about ancient writers and about their works. I've never actually sat down and read an ancient text all the way through, apart from like adaptions. But I mostly prefer like philosophers.
Yeah.
So especially Diogenes, who is hilarious. He's the guy that lived in a barrel in, where was it? Like
in Athens.
Yeah, in Athens.
Behold a man.
Yeah. He lived in a barrel in Athens, and he defecated on the street.
There's a scene in Horrible Histories which is brilliant on Diogenes. Have you seen that? Have you seen Horrible Histories?
Yeah, but I've not seen that.
The Diogenes one where it's that guy who does the history in front of a blue screen, and he goes like, and he does the history really quick. And it's like a weatherman. He plays Diogenes. That scene's really good in Horrible Histories. Anyway, Karen. I wanted to shout out.
I think he used to like masturbate on the streets and hang out with dogs. And Alexander the Great was a really big fan, so he came to see Diogenes when he went to Athens. And he was like, "Oh God, Diogenes, I'm your biggest fan. What can I do for you?" And Diogenes was like, "You're blocking the sun. Get out of the way of the sun." So he was just lying there naked, like tanning. Was it Plato?
Yeah,
He said it was his
Plato.
man.
Yeah, Plato said it was just like men are just featherless bipeds.
Yeah.
So Diogenes plucked a chicken and just carried it round like shouting at people in Athens, "Behold a man." So, Plato in his school had to change the definition to featherless bipeds with square nails, I think.
Yeah. So he was a founder of cynicism, the philosophical school, but then I also find ancient writers coming up all throughout history because people were obsessed with them.
Yeah.
Always. So I did a module on like the decline of magic in English society.
And
I
remember you reading that book.
Yeah.
That massive book.
Massive fuck off book, like 800 pages.
Yeah.
But a lot of the arguments that Christian theologians had, the metaphysics were based on Aristotle's principles.
Oh.
And like a few of them were Neoplatonists, but that wasn't really that popular.
Yeah.
But that basically, they were basically arguing about whether spirits were physical or like not physical.
Yeah.
And most people thought that they were most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know what you mean about that point where it's like, I was on the way here I was telling you that I really love hearing about Cicero and reading about Cicero, but I fucking hate reading Cicero with a passion.
He deserved in the end.
He did get what he deserved because he's it's fucking boring.
Nailed to a wall. Poor guy.
But he as a character in history is really good. Like he's always there in like that period of history. He always crops up. It's like, oh, and Cicero has an opinion. But the stuff that Cicero writes, I think, is boring, and I can't stand it. I know, Jack, when I said that, you had a look on you.
Oh no, I find it boring too.
Oh, good.
I don't like reading Cicero. I can't.
Yeah, so it's like when it's like who do you enjoy reading? It's also like who do you enjoy reading about, like as well.
Yeah.
It's like because I really like. Well, person I really like reading is Herodotus, because I've had to read him for about 5 years now, every year, from college, right through to uni. So I've probably read everything he's done, or the whole book, I mean. And yeah, it's just interesting because it's probably all bullshit. it's probably like, that's not true. That's not true. That's a bit racist. But no, it's like you get what I like about Herodotus. It's like the mind. You see like how he thought of different people, and like that's what's really interesting for me. His digressions is like what he interpreted.
Well, it's just
people.
like he's clearly really interested.
Yeah.
In learning about other people, and it's always nice to listen or read the works of someone who's quite clearly like interested.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because like I'm sure we all know from lecturers, like the ones who are quite clearly passionate about what they're doing are so much like better.
Exactly.
At lecturing
Yeah.
than the ones who you just feel like just there churning out a module because they have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
no, yeah, that's why I read, and also Herodotus. I love Greek history. I know you're a big fan of Greek history as well, Louis.
Yeah, I can see one of your questions about Greek historians versus Roman historians. And
yeah, that is the next one.
Yeah. I This is so much better than Roman history, but Jack's gonna have a go at me for that.
Yeah. Are you a Roman guy, Jack?
Definitely, yeah. Easy.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Well, all right. Before we get on to that, who do you enjoy reading, Lou?
Well, you know what? I when I was in school, I really enjoyed reading the law, like the stuff about law in Demosthenes in Athens.
Really?
And like that, for some reason, I really enjoyed that. But when we were revising for History, Literature, and Truth, I really enjoyed Polybius, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I've really enjoyed reading it, and that's like I've in summer when I'm going to start reading all the way through. That's the one I'm going to start with, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Well, I do enjoy plays as well, and comedies and stuff. Aristophanes particularly, but I think probably Polybius. Polybius is the one that I'm most interested in to get into.
Well, isn't he the person out of all of them who was like, I am just going to write the truth? Was that Polybius?
That was.
Yeah, he seemed.
Was
But
he
him
was
and
the one who was just like, oh yeah, everything I say is true.
Yeah,
it's all the gospel. I don't know about Polybius.
Polybius is pretty truthful though.
Yeah,
Seem to remember.
I remember reading his preface.
As much as you can be for something that
Well, yeah, of course, you know.
700 years before he was born, but
the best version of Roman history.
Yeah.
By a Greek.
Done by a Greek, just saying.
Yeah.
Best version.
Right, well, the next question is, who's better, Roman or Greek historians? And what's the difference between them as well? So, Billy, I think you're probably like most neutral out of us all, because you don't actually do ancient history. So, from an outsider, who was better?
I'm going to go with Roman.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
We've won
When we were doing Caesar's Gift.
The what?
When we were doing Caesar's Gift.
Oh,
We
yeah.
did little snippets from Roman historians.
That was the module on, like, the Roman Empire.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
mostly like pre-3rd century prices, but there was a bit of later stuff as well.
Oh, yeah.
But the little snippets you got from the historians there I found quite interesting, especially Plutarch.
Yeah.
Like Hidden Lies, which is about the first 12 emperors, I think.
No, he didn't do...
He does loads of lies, doesn't he?
Loads.
Yeah.
It's not the first 12 emperors, it's...
That's Suetonius, isn't it? The 12 Caesars.
Yeah, 12 Caesars.
Plutarch's like parallel lives and stuff, so
Yeah, so he wrote a
Oh,
lot of Romans, wrote a lot of Greeks, and paired them together.
Yeah.
And it's Plutarch's life is a lot more anecdotal.
Yeah.
Because I remember reading Life of Alexander, and in that he basically says, like, I'm not going to write about all the battles and stuff Alexander's won and how great he is, because realistically you can just read that from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So he writes anecdotes about like the time Alexander got a cup thrown at him by his like stepdaughter's husband or something, some bizarre relation.
He's more character building, isn't he? More like autobiographical, rather than like the events of the history. He delves into who the person is.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you're getting to know who they are rather than what they did.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a theme. He kind of exemplifies a theme that differentiates Greeks and Romans, because he followed a philosophy of like moralising history.
Yeah.
Where all his stories, people like get their comeuppance if they do bad things, and basically history is dictated by sort of moral choices. I found that quite interesting as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Great answer. Cheers, Billy. Jack, why Romans?
So I am strongly in the Roman camp on this one.
Get ready, Louis. Get ready.
So basically, the big difference is you can look at if you want to read ancient historians, look at their prefaces, and basically from the preface of each one, you're going to know most things about them. And Roman historians is all about looking to the past to reform the morals of the present. But the fact
they have to do that so many times shows a failure, don't you think?
But do you really think that writing a history book? No, right. We're not getting into that.
No, let's get into it.
Right.
Get the popcorn out, man. Let's go.
So they think.
I can see the veins.
I'm not happy. So they think everything's going downhill, and I personally think a lot of them are commissioned. I think Livy was commissioned by Augustus, like the Aeneid was, and like Horace's.
Get your tinfoil hats on.
This is tinfoil hats out by me. So they look to reform the morals of the new Roman state coming into being, like Sallust. Sallust is like the rant your granddad goes on.
Yeah.
And it's great, you know. You look at them where he's like, yeah, everyone's, you know, avarice, greed. They're all shagging, gambling, money. You know,
sounds great.
Everything's for sale. Actually, Wolf of Wall Street quotes Sallust. The scene where Jordan Belfort goes to prison, he says, because he's shown how nice prison is for top fraudsters of Wall Street. He goes, this is what it's like in a country where everything's for sale. And I was like, oh my god, that is in both Cataline and Jugurtha. Like, there's no ways about it. But I just think it's so good because there's a mission to it. I think. Yeah. I mean, Herodotus and Thucydides just look to keep things so they're not erased by the sand, like in the sands of time.
Yeah.
Livy and Sallust, they're looking back and they're going, what's gone wrong? How can we progress as a people? How can we progress as a state? And yeah, I think it's fantastic to look back on yourselves like that. Yeah.
A good argument, yeah. Yeah. Matt, what about you?
I'm gonna have to round it off and say I also think Roman historians are better than the Greek ones.
Yeah.
I think this about Greek writers in general is there's like an air of smugness with the later ones. I don't think necessarily Herodotus, but Thucydides and Polybius definitely have a bit of a superiority complex going.
Definitely. Well, yeah, Thucydides definitely.
And I think for the most direct comparison, Livy and Polybius, I just enjoy reading Livy more. I think it's more interesting. But I think the comparison between the two is quite similar to how the UK and America are today.
Yeah.
In the sense that like Greece/Britain, source of all the historical interesting bits of culture. However, Rome/America is now the actual like relevant superpower who have absolutely no culture, no clue what they're doing, and they're just trying to stumble their way through, just like basically making things up about their history to try and make themselves look a lot better than they actually might be in the cold light of day. Because I have to say, I think in general, in classics we do glamorize a lot of people like Julius Caesar and stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of forget about all the genocide in Gaul.
Yeah.
All the people he had crucified when he got robbed and stuff. Like, but back to the point, I do think Roman historians, because they're not writing specifically for the sake of like recording truth, it makes it a lot less unbiased. So puts a spin on it.
You prefer a historian who isn't recording truth?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So what's the point of being a historian then?
Because I think it's interesting.
I'm just
like,
really trying to.
That's good.
To be honest, I like recalling things for the sake of interest.
That's
like
not history though, is it? If it's not true.
But for me, the most interesting things about history are the things that probably didn't happen, but we all like to tell our mates because they sound interesting to happen.
Yeah.
Like
it's interesting to think what brought that about. Why they felt it necessary not to tell the truth in that situation. Do you know what I mean? Like why at that point if they decided to make something up? What's the point in that? And I think that is almost more interesting than the actual thing they've made up. Is why they decided to do that then.
To be fair, I think it's because they're the subject matter of quite a lot of them. I mean, for the Greek ones, it's a bit more recent. Like Thucydides is a contemporary with the period he was writing about, and like actively took a part in what was going on. But for like quite a lot of the Roman writers, it's very distant but very big events in Rome's history that realistically, like it won't have been recorded as in depth as you need to write a history. You're gonna have to say tell people about the hearsay that might have happened, might not have happened. And I think that if you're gonna have to make something up, at least make it an interesting story. And I think the Romans managed to do that quite well.
Yep.
No, that's a good point. Yeah. And the Romans as well, they had a lot more like, because Herodotus and Thucydides were writing where there weren't many histories around, where the Romans probably had a lot of people, so they needed to make their writing a bit more interesting.
I don't know, because I remember the one article I read for business module last the one bit of reading that I managed to get done was basically saying Herodotus.
Oh, he had his contemporaries.
He had loads of contemporaries, but he was the only one who drew everything, like all the strands together effectively.
Yeah.
So like there were people who were writing local histories. They were writing about like the ethnic groups and and the geography and migration and stuff. But Herodotus is the only one who thought actually it might make sense if we put all of this together in one big book.
It's like an encyclopedia, isn't it? It is a really good read, Herodotus.
I fucking love Herodotus.
4-page digression on Egypt.
Well, like me and Benji have read fucking Herodotus so much. I think, was it last week or the week before? He was reciting a paragraph and he knew exactly which
122.
It was like, oh yeah, that's 136, and it was spot on or whatever.
Yeah.
Herodotus is great, and I love reading him. He did start it all, Father of History. Yeah, so he's the best.
If I was to stain at our answers, you're in the Greek camp then?
I definitely am in the Greek camp. I think it's just because I prefer Greek history in general. So the Peloponnesian War is a lot better than any of the Roman stuff. So that's why I like Thucydides. Because was it you, Jack, who said you hated Thucydides?
Oh, it is the most
awful. I'm in Greek camp, but I don't like Thucydides either.
Really?
Yeah.
He
lets down our side.
I think holes are starting to show in the Greek camp, don't you, Matt?
Yeah.
I think we're going to end it there.
At the end of the day, Jack, you're on our podcast, so I think Greek is better.
I might put on the title, Greek is better.
On that side of the desk.
Yeah, we're hiding behind this iPad.
Yeah. That side of the Adriatic.
Or else end it there.
No one wouldn't know about any of the Greek camp if it wasn't preserved by the Romans.
Oh.
Yeah, but then we wouldn't know about the Romans if it wasn't preserved by the monks, with the bald patch.
So Greek, Roman, or monks?
Greek, Roman, monks. Yeah. Well, no, I don't know. And then Herodotus, I think he's just on his own. He is the best read for me. So I prefer, and it's just more interesting. There's more I don't know. I can't. Come back to me.
I think you're right. I find Greek history more interesting as well.
Yeah.
And I find that the most interesting account of Roman history is done by a Greek.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion.
Yeah.
And these three disagree. But
I don't like how you say they're trying to change the when you say they're trying to talk about the past to change the now with Sallust and stuff. I quite like how Herodotus is just talking about he's just doing it's an ethnography. It's he's talking about morals, but he's not trying to change. He's just telling a story, and he's telling why.
I think what's quite interesting about Herodotus compared to now and ancient writers in general is basically when you read history that's going on nowadays that people are writing, basically the vast majority of people recording it either aren't religious or don't let religion influence their works. They don't believe in abstract concepts like fate or divine justice and stuff. And I think the fact that Herodotus and other Roman writers genuinely believed in things like fate, they genuinely believed that the gods did play a part in history, and that was just a given. I think that does give a really interesting slant on how they decide to record history.
Yeah.
So obviously, there's the big thing about not crossing boundaries because then bad things happen.
Yeah.
And the fact when Herodotus was recording that, he would probably have genuinely been thinking because that's destined to happen if you do it.
Yeah.
Rather than writers now would be much more there's several reasons that this happened.
Yeah.
Smaller army, things that make sense.
Yeah.
My problem with the Romans is something you said earlier, Matt. Is one time they'll just go, and in this year nothing happened, and the amount of times they do that, it gets confusing. I think that there's just so much extra shit that it's just especially is it Livy where it gets really confusing with Camillus at the end? Is that am I I get that I got to that bit and I was so confused. I didn't know what was happening, but that maybe I need to read it again. And at that point it was late in the day in the revision. But
Trojan War, fate, they
Oh yeah. I mean, he changes so much in that. Apparently the siege of Veii lasted 10 years, but that's just a homage to Troy. And all of a sudden, instantly the Gauls arrive in Rome, and it took them 3 days.
That bit after Veii with the Gauls, I'm just at this point, what is going on? There is just so much going on.
But I think coming back to sort of the additions Livy makes in that, a lot of it, I just think it's not important though, is it? You know, whether or not the Gauls arrived 3 days later, or whether they arrived instantly, Rome's still sacked.
Yeah.
Rome's still in peril. You know, those 3 days make little to no difference. They wouldn't have been able to all of a sudden in those 3 days completely defend the city. They were on toast. Like, you know, they had no chance of getting.
He still
back.
covers the.
It just makes it a little bit.
He's got his timeline, and then he's chosen what he wants to sprinkle on.
Yeah, you know,
and how he does it is not really affecting the general
artistic license.
Events, you know?
Yeah, he's looking at it.
Is this the Virgil fan complaining about inconsistent
So
little Euless, 1 minute he's like a 3-year-old toddler, the next he's out hunting with his dad, back to like clutching at a
the fall of Troy in 1200, then they're setting up of Carthage in 750. But no, like things like that is just, you know, imagine Livy is making a curry, let's say, and you know, if he keeps exactly how it is, it's going to be a korma. You know, no one's ordering
it's true,
that.
It's true.
You'd eat
Jack, I swear you said you get a korma.
I'd never get a korma.
I get a korma.
I would never. I am insulted here.
Maybe it wasn't you.
I have to get a korma.
But
we discussed kormas and masalas.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it may have been the masala with the Peep Show quote.
Oh yeah,
Chicken
yeah.
tikka masala,
When walking Hadrian's Wall, I got a mutton korma.
A mutton korma.
A mutton korma. That was fucking beautiful. It was so good. Remember that? Remember that day, Billy?
Yeah, no, it was great.
It was lovely, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just a nice day.
Anyway, but no, he's making a curry. He could choose to have, you know, those 3 days, things like that, and have a korma, or he could, you know, all of a sudden, you've got a jalfrezi. The Gauls are all of a sudden at the gate. You know, the geese tell the Romans that the Gauls are there.
Yeah.
You know, that's exciting.
There's all the blokes like their statues in their own homes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All the elderly
Oh yeah. The stretching forth to touch his beard, then all of a sudden
cracks him with
whack, and then all of a sudden it just descends into chaos. There's just fires everywhere. There's like slaughters. That's great. I love that song.
So I think we've determined that the Greeks are better.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
is that the consensus?
That is the consensus.
We're going to have to move on because we're short of time.
I'm going to skip a few questions. I'm going to end on this one. Do you think you'll continue reading ancient history stuff after uni? After all this is done, I don't know what you're doing after uni. I don't know if you're going to continue classics, anything like that. But do you think you'll continue to read ancient writers' works about ancient writers after uni? Billy, you haven't spoken for a while.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start reading ancient writers after uni.
Right, enough of that.
I
Sorry.
genuinely
What?
do.
Yeah.
I genuinely do think I'll start. When the exhaustion from reading like reams of historical texts has sort of passed, maybe in a year or so, I'll pick up like Euclid's geometry or something.
Yeah.
Flick through.
Yeah. I wonder where you heard him from. Yeah. No. Jack.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was thinking when we were doing Livy for History, Literature and Truth, I want to read the books on Hannibal and that. I think that'd be good. You know, when you look at the drama he adds in, you know, I
the
quite like
blood oath his dad made him swear.
Oh yeah, all this. I'm looking forward to it. I think I'll carry on reading. Maybe not Thucydides.
Yeah. Or any Greek.
But yeah, I think also some Tacitus as well. I'd quite like to read. To read Germania. Noble Savage and all that.
Yeah, I thought we'd go without.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on the Punic as well.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how he makes that a jalfrezi.
Matt.
To be honest, I think I'm gonna hopefully read more.
Yeah.
It's really dumb because obviously I chose to come to uni to do classics, but I'm resentful at having to read not at my own pace.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's like, you've got to read this by then.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, I don't want to. You can't make me read it if I don't want to. And it's like reading Livy. I've read more of it after the exam on it.
Yeah.
So I kind of think, I don't have to analyse it really. I can just read it at my own pace, take in what's going on. So hopefully after uni, I'm going to be able to pick up bits of ancient literature and I can just read them because I want to, rather than because I've got to write an essay on it like the night after.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I think with every module I've read more after the exam than I did actually like Even the stuff we're supposed to read. Like, I'm just which is genuinely important for the exam. 10 minutes after the exam, I'm like, I might read that.
Yeah. Well,
the big Thucydides corker that we had.
Real nightmare. Because our exam was supposed to be pick 2 questions from 3 writers, but Vissa had put all 3 writers in one question, and then Thucydides. We had to write about Thucydides.
So I remember the question at about 5:30 in the Walton Library. You sure we don't have to do Thucydides? And we were like, yeah, we're fine. Come on, we're fine.
See, I remember you saying that just before the exam.
Yeah.
I think both of you had said we've not done Thucydides, and then I saw it. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I felt bad for it.
Still passed though.
It was exactly like reading Herodotus again. You can't escape your fate. You know, it just comes right back. You know, Croesus and Cyrus. That was us. You know.
Yeah.
Well, luckily I did revise.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, realistically, we're spending so much money to be here, and we're like, sack that off.
Well, we've had so much time that we were cutting out revision.
Didn't we work out we're sitting at about last time anyway, about 55 quid a lecture?
Yeah, something like that. 55 quid a lecture.
Yeah. Oh, the amount of money I've wasted missing lectures. Please, Filippo, shield your ears. Right, I think that's it then. We're nearly bang on an hour.
Oh my god. We always aim for 40 to 50 minutes and go over. So
If we aim for 40 to 50 minutes, we'll get like 2 hours. It'll be fine. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining us. Sorry. Thanks for joining us, viewers. We've not got any announcements, have we? For Classics Committee. Or Jack as well.
There's a meeting for the flights, isn't there?
That'll be out. This will come out after that.
Oh yeah, I always forget that.
There'll be a bowling social soon.
There will be a bowling social
and
soon.
also an Ides of March social. It
looking forward to
probably
that.
won't be on the 15th.
Yeah.
But,
I'm busy 15th.
Yeah, it'll probably be a Thursday night because I usually have Fridays off. So.
Yeah.
But keep posted for that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining. It's been I think it's been very good this one.
Very good.
Stimulating.
Good second year representation as well.
Very good, yeah. The only one we'll ever have as well.
Yeah.
Alright, thanks very much, guys. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.